a family law attorney for about 8 years. I've been practicing in Harris County, Montgomery County, Brazoria, Galveston, and also Fort Bend.
What drew you to family law, and how has your personal background influenced your practice?
When I started, I didn't start with doing family law, but eventually I got into it about 1 year after I started practicing. I enjoyed everything about it. Although some of these cases can be really intense, but I do enjoy the human element of family law, and obviously even the business aspect of it. But it's such a human practice because it's something that we deal with every day. You deal with your kids, you deal with your property.
Which core values and principles guide your approach to family law and client relationships?
I think the core value is honesty. I think there needs to be honesty between you and your client. Again, I think family law is such a human practice, and you got to be able to kind of treat your clients as friends in a sense, and they need to have that sort of trust in you. I think that's one of the core values that kind of drives.
What aspects of helping families through legal challenges do you find the most rewarding?
Well, like I said, this family law is a extremely heavy emotional practice per se. But I would say what drives me every day is because I think every case is kind of like a life lesson. I learned more from these cases over the last 8 years of my practice than any self-help book that I've read in Barnes and Nobles per se. So that's obviously valuable for the client, but also in a weird way, it's a reward for me, even though I'm getting paid for what I'm doing. But I experience the pain and what they're going through with them. That allows me to grow, and I think that's the sort of value that you can't really get anywhere else in different jobs per se.
How do you establish a personal connection with clients, and why do you consider this important?
Well, that kind of goes back to the honesty approach. Like, I think that you and your client need to be best friends, and you need to trust them, and they need to trust you. And that doesn't always work out. You know, there are times where that trust gets broken. That's very natural in any practice, and family law is not exclusive to that. But I think that in order for you to have a good relationship, in order for you to be able to represent that person, you need to be able to trust them, and they need to count on you like you're their friend. In real life, that doesn't always work out, you know, and you know, sometimes that can go in other places. But you know, I think that's one of the best things about it.
In such an emotionally taxing field, what drives you to persevere?
I think there's a human element to the practice. I think the lessons that you learn through each case is so deep that I don't think I would have ever learned in any other profession. Or even practicing different things. You know, I started practicing business law. Nothing against the business law people, but I think that family law is something that's so close to us every day. You deal with your kids that are probably the most important in your life, and in addition to that, you deal with your property. That's what you do every day to build. I think those are very sensitive things, and to be able to overcoming some of these challenges with the clients, I think that's satisfactory in itself. That's why I think that even taking away the money in the business, I think the practice by itself is a great, rewarding thing to do every day because you're helping people, you're getting them across, and sometimes you can't help them, and that's okay. But in general, you're just kind of allowing yourself to grow with them. And I think that I've grown more in the last 8 years than I've ever had, and I think that it was compelled because of this practice, because of the hard nature of this practice. The pain of practicing is what drives me. The pain of practicing itself is what drives me. It doesn't discourage me. I think it just gives me motivation and drive every day to do better for them and obviously do better for me. So it goes both ways. It's a win-win situation.
What insights from your clients have contributed to your professional development?
I have clients from a variety of different areas of life, like, you know, family law and divorce and sometimes modification and cases in regards to kids involves people from all different ages. Like, you know, we have people as young as like 20-year-old all the way up as, you know, 85-year-olds. And to be honest with you, I think each client kind of gives you a perspective. When you're looking at the younger clients, you kind of see a reflection and pain they're going through because you've been at their age. And sometimes you look at some of the older clients and they give you the sort of wisdom that you haven't experienced. So to be honest with you, that's almost like with every client, they give you an insight not only into your own professional practice, but also your personal life, in my opinion.
Which personal quality do you believe distinguishes you as a family law attorney?
I'm a very aggressive attorney. I like to zealously represent my clients. I always tell my clients that it's me and them, like we're in this together. And I always stand up for them, even if I think that they're wrong. But one thing that I ask of them is for them to be honest with me. But it's the aggressiveness in my practice that comes in. For me, every day is a learning experience with family law. And even though it's a taxing and it could be discouraging sometimes when you have bad days, but you kind of learn from it and move on. I think most of the time, like we think that hard things are things that we try to avoid. We try to kind of avoid pain, but being able to experience other people's pain, emotional pains that they're going through a divorce, through not being able to see their kids, maybe family violence, alcoholism, drug abuse. All of these things are things that we live with on a daily basis. And I genuinely think that it's a privilege that I've been allowed to do this for people. And I get compensated for it, obviously. So it's humbling for me to be allowed to do this for people and walk through their everyday pain. Again, that helps me grow as a person. They definitely grow through as we kind of go through the case.
What advice would you offer to individuals grappling with family law issues?
I think one of the best things for anybody that's dealing with divorce or going through a custody case, fighting over their kids or family violence, is you have to understand that the pain is temporary. Most of the time when people are going through a divorce, they're probably at their worst and they're not necessarily bringing their best forward. And some of them try really hard to kind of put on a face, but they're at their worst. What they need to understand is that that's just a moment in their life. And just like when you're going through a surgery, those periods of time that you're recovering and you're going through it is not necessarily going to be fun. And again, a divorce is kind of like a surgery. It's kind of like going through the pain, and they just have to be patient with themselves. And I had to tell a client even that you need to be patient with yourself. You can't be harder on yourself than the pain already is. So be patient with yourself. Understand that this is only a small part of your life, and eventually you're going to get through the end of it. And sometimes these things end up being better. And family law is not always negative things. We have adoption.
How might your personal experiences inspire those facing similar challenges?
I've been practicing for the last 8 years, and given that I've been practicing family law, which involves kids and divorce, personally, I actually don't deal with any of those because I'm not married, nor do I have kids. But I have dealt probably more than anybody else out there with these things. When you deal with these clients, they're going through such a hard period. It's pretty much they're going through a mental or emotional surgery. I've always tried to portray a strong character in front of them, for them, and there's been times where, I'm not necessarily in a good mood, but in that sense, I was always able to portray a strong character because at that point, when somebody is going through that, that's what they need. They don't need you to be vulnerable with them. They want you to kind of be that stone where they can kind of lean on. I've had clients where they just call me and just vent out for 5 minutes just to get through the day. And that's what I love, again, about family law, because it has that psychological perspective. It's not just about business. These people just kind of need to call you and talk to you just to be able to get through the day. My personal experience, because I don't have kids, I haven't dealt with a divorce because I've never been married. I was always mentally kind of strong for them and kept up for them and allowed me being a rock for them to not only get them through what they're going through, but also it kind of helped me be strong in my case.